Well, in this month's Unraveling the Mysteries, photojournalist Curtis Jackson and I look at a case from back in 2007. Now, even though autopsy reports and the WFPD ruled this case an accidental drowning, the family believes there's much more to it. This is the mysterious death of Tamara Holcknecht.
I thought we were just going to go out for a bike ride. So we came over here and I went and looked and I saw something laying there and I saw like garage pants on it. So I went over there and looked and it looked like a dead body. It was face down and it had like yellow skin with black spots on it.
When she was a baby, she would make a squeaking sound, and we called her Little Mousie, and it kind of stuck with her. She didn't want me to call her Mousie in front of her friends when she got older. No, that was a no-no. But I could call her Mousie when we were by ourselves. She was a very happy girl. She never met a stranger. She could just pick up a conversation with anyone. She loved everyone. The last time I talked to her was on February the 25th, and she was supposed to come over the very next day and see her sister and I, but she never made it. She was asking if I had a movie, because she wanted to watch a movie called The Game, and I had it, but I didn't take it to her. I wish I would have. But she became a missing person, official missing person, on March the 9th in both Clay County and Wichita County. My daughter had called to see if I'd heard from her because she hadn't, and I thought maybe she'd been in her dad's because I hadn't heard from her for that long, but I knew something was wrong. I knew. Sometimes she'd go like a week, I wouldn't hear from her. But my family members would usually say, you know, they had seen her and stuff, but she'd go stay with friends, and so, but to be gone that long, and then like my dad and I were talking about like different things would happen or whatever, like St. Patrick's Day, because she loved get-togethers and stuff. And then my daughter's birthday was the 21st, and she didn't tell her happy birthday or nothing. I had gone out to the garage, and I had my phone on me, and my phone rang, and it was my friend Julie, and she said, "Did you see the news?" I said, "No, what?" So I ran in the house, I turned on the news, and that's whenever they said they had found a body out by Shepherd, close right within yards of where she was staying.
We walked down there, and I said, "Show me where," and they did, and I said, "Let's not get too close." You could smell. The smell is just horrendous.
They were out there, and they smelt a smell that they weren't familiar with, and that's when they investigated themselves. Bodies found. They were able to contact authorities. And so we responded out there, the detectives, crime scene units, and began the investigation. What we want to do anytime we have a deceased person, we call it unattended death, we want to rule out foul play. So we investigate these kind of things as if they are homicides, and we begin to rule out things that would lead to that finding, because we don't want to assume anything and then drive off and then leave an open case that was actually a homicide that we ruled something else, a suicide or just an accidental death. Number one, it was the physical evidence of her body. The detectives found no sign, and including the medical examiner, no sign of any kind of damage to the body that was trauma that would fit someone attacking her or assaulting her that would have caused the death. And then the actual autopsy results where the doctor ruled it as an accidental drowning. It was the cause of death. So that, for us, ruled out a homicide.
No, it wasn't an accident. You don't just end up out in a pond fully clothed in the winter. Well, I knew she was hanging around with some really bad people, and I told her that. And I remember I was driving down the freeway when I was taking her back over there to that where she was staying by the base. I said, "You need to stay away from those people that she'd been hanging out with. She deserves justice. She deserves that. She so deserves justice. She didn't deserve to die like that in the most horrible way in a pond." She did not die out there. She was placed out there. The person that I've been told was involved is still talking about it all the way in Wisconsin. It was a year ago in March that guy in Wisconsin contacted me because he was sitting at a bar with this woman. Said she'd been to prison for killing Tamara Holcknecht in Wichita Falls.
There were so many names that the officers and detectives talked to. I can't remember that name. It sounds familiar, and I definitely could not tell you what part she was expected to have played by the parents who suspect her. I just can't remember that. But I know they talked to several people. That name does sound familiar. It's been closed due to the accidental drowning. Our cold case Detective John Laughlin, is looking at some things, mainly just to get some things straightened out with the ME who did the autopsy. Nothing that would change our minds that it's a homicide. But we're looking at some things like, is it possible that she did drown there, or could she had died somewhere else and been moved there by someone else that doesn't want the police to show up where she actually died and was brought to that pond? Is that possible? And so that's one of the things that Detective Laughlin's looking at right now. And he's trying to reach out to that doctor, and that's the process he's in right now. There could be criminal charges filed on that person. Wouldn't be for homicide or for murder, but it could be for tampering with evidence or some other charges there as well, obstructing our investigation. So that would be something that we would want to know to get to the bottom of it, because we know family members have questions. We always want to bring closure to that, any questions they may have. And so that's why John is furthering this a little bit, just digging a little bit more to get more answers about the death itself. Not that we think that she was murdered, but could she had been moved, or is this something where the doctor is confident that she was in this water alive at one time and then drowned?
You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make
She used to sing "You Are My Sunshine" to me all the time.
eyes are great. You'll never know.
So still to this day, when you hear that song,
It just breaks my heart.
Please don't take my sunshine away.
if you have any information, you can still call the WFPD or call Crime Stoppers at 940-322-9888. And as always, you can remain anonymous.